The new Dyson AIRWRAP ID promises to give you the most personalized and customizable hairstyling experience. It has a new conical barrel and Bluetooth connectivity to the MyDyson app, so this version of the AIRWRAP promises to automate the styling experience like never before. Dyson claims this AIRWRAP upgrade actually guides you through styling and causes no heat damage. So does it work? What do I think of it? And what in the world is this attachment? I'm Skylar McDonald, professional hairdresser and trichologist, and we are going to be reviewing the new Dyson AIRWRAP ID. I will be explaining everything you get in the box, the attachments, how to get the best out of your AIRWRAP, and what you really need to know about the MyDyson app. I will be sharing some tips and tricks that really applies to any AIRWRAP holder. So hopefully this video will help you decide if this is a good investment and also make your AIRWRAP styling experience the smoothest of journeys. I have extensively tested this tool, and I have to say there are going to be some people that don't love this tool at all. And some people are going to think it's amazing, and some just haven't really cracked it yet. I'm going to kick off by saying that this is a totally honest review. All my thoughts are my own, and I have bought this AIRWRAP with my own money. Blah, blah, blah. No one is paying me for these unbiased thoughts. So timestamps below, and let's get into it. The original AIRWRAP was released about 2018, and there have been a few iterations that Dyson have launched, but to me, this is the first time they've actually launched something different. Because of the Bluetooth connectivity, it's supposed to be a game changer for styling. And to be honest, I'm a huge fan of tech elevating beauty. And if you have your AIRWRAP and you're loving it, I don't think I would upgrade. I don't think it's really necessary. But if you've struggled with using the AIRWRAP with regards to usage, or maybe the staying power of the style, or maybe you've been unsatisfied with the end result, I might be inclined to look at this tool again because the upgrades might solve some of those problems for you. And with that said, let's get into this box. The Dyson AIRWRAP comes in this great presentation box, and it's kind of like a vanity box to store your AIRWRAP and all your attachments. The new update to the box is that the lid actually works as a holder for your phone and section clips, which I think is great when you're using the MyDyson app. Everything has its neat compartment. I think Dyson could have thrown in some clips. I think that would have made the user experience better, but I'm just nitpicking at that. So let's talk about the attachments for the AIRWRAP ID. I feel like the attachments are key to understanding the AIRWRAP fully and how to use it. And every attachment changes with every generation of the AIRWRAP, so it's kind of worth going over the new ones and how to use them. The Dyson AIRWRAP is essentially a dryer, so you don't need any other dryer as well as this tool. Your main attachment for drying your hair is the fast drying head, and it looks like this. You want to use this attachment when you're trying to get rid of water throughout your hair. If you're a first-time AIRWRAP user, you're gonna discover that you need to dry your hair to about 80% dry before you curl the hair. You're also gonna learn that soaking wet hair doesn't wrap well on some of the curl attachments, so this dryer head is essential if you're looking to get rid of a whole bunch of water fast. I have to say I was a little confused about this attachment here when I first picked it up, but this is the flyaway smoother. This attachment has been on some of the other variations of the AIRWRAP, but it was new to me since I have the OG. This is essentially a directional airflow attachment, meaning it will focus the hair specifically downwards to help smooth the cuticle. And direction airflow is essential for smoothing the cuticle, and getting the right angle of airflow can be difficult. So this attachment just helps you get the right spot fast. You can adjust the airflow by turning the tip of the attachment. This is going to be great for people that are suffering from a lot of annoying flyaway hairs. Say if you've had some postpartum hair loss and your hair is growing back and you have all these little hairs sticking up and you just want to kind of tame them down. Or maybe you're suffering from telogen effluvium hair loss, which is a kind of sporadic hair loss throughout the head, and your hair is starting to grow back and you're trying to tame all the little hairs down. If you want to use this attachment, my top tip is to spray a little bit of hairspray after the end of your blow dry, and then just use this attachment to just sort of stick some of those flyaway hairs down. This can be really good for that. The AIRWRAP also comes with brush attachments, and this is the smoothing brush head. It's great for reducing water, specifically I feel for thicker hair types. Potentially it's good for smoothing frizzier hair, and if you're trying to kind of stretch out that texture a little bit. I think the brush is a little bit hard, so make sure that you detangle your hair before you start using this. I haven't used it loads, but I can see how it would be good for some thicker hair types. I actually do love the round brush head of the AirWrap. I think it's really great. This can be really great for giving volume to the hair. It also can be really good for sort of bending the ends of a blow dry if you're looking to just kind of flick the ends a bit. You can do a round brush blow dry with this attachment, but the diameter of it's a bit large. So what I would rather do is curl with maybe the curling attachment and then blow dry with this afterwards to get that big blow dry look if that's something that you're looking for. The AirWrap ID comes with a 40mm straight barrel and the new conical barrel, which is wider at the bottom and a little bit smaller at the top. The base of the conical barrel is 30mm, and I think the tip is 20mm. And Dyson decided to make this attachment to allow closer styling to the root, essentially helping to create tighter and more defined curls. And I actually agree with that. This does help you get closer to the root if you are positioning the tip of the barrel towards the scalp. So if you found your AirWrap that you've had last time, just with the straight barrel, wasn't curling the roots as much as the ends, this shape of barrel might actually help with that. The straight barrel works well for sort of looser curls. Like I was saying before, if you were gonna curl your hair with this size barrel and then blow dry it out with a round brush attachment, I think that that can work really, really well for like a big blow dry. If you have really long, thick hair, we're talking waist length thick hair, the AirWrap ID is going to be difficult to fit all of your hair on the actual barrel. You might have to take smaller sections to make it work, and I would just opt for a blow dry and a large tong that was 50mm and up in diameter. I'm not saying that the AirWrap won't work for that length of hair. I have seen people do it and it looks great. This straight barrel is also 7.5 inches, so it's the same as the long AirWrap that Dyson came out with a few years ago. I'm just saying there might be better options time and effort-wise. So Dyson have redesigned the AirWrap with a brand new curl feature called the ID Curl. This is a function that connects the AirWrap via Bluetooth to time essentially the perfect cycle for your particular hair type. The cycle comprises of a wrapping time, a styling time, and a cooling time. This wrapping cycle allows you enough time to wrap your hair actually around the barrel. The styling cycle is the time that the barrel actually heats up to create the wave. And most importantly, the cooling cycle, which is the one that gets forgotten about all the time, actually cools and sets the hair into shape. So it just sounds like a glorified timer, right? Okay, maybe it is, but there are positives to this timer. But first, let me take you through my experience with the app. Once you set up the app, it has these great profile questions that ask about your hair to get a good gauge of your hair profile. For reference, my hair profile was wavy, long, and fine. I selected that my hair retains some styles a little and that I'm a practice user, which I kind of think is fair. Once you have connected your AirWrap to the app, you can select a card that says ID Curl Ready. The tool needs to be on for this, and I did find occasionally that the tool would not connect, but I would rectify this by turning the Bluetooth on and off in my settings on my phone, and that would usually fix that. You activate the ID curl cycles by switching up the power button towards the ID curl logo. For reference, the cycle that I found best for my hair was 7 seconds to wrap, 8 seconds to style, and 22 seconds to cool. And I sort of found this out through testing. Sometimes my styling seconds would be longer than 8 seconds, but trust me, extending that cooling cycle is essential because it takes a while for the AirWrap to actually cool down fully. Also, a quick tip, if you ever find that the cycle is taking too long, you can always switch up the power button and move on to the next cycle. I found this was a nice little hack just in case the styling was taking too long and my hair was maybe heating too much and I wanted to get to the cool cycle quickly. So what are the positives of this timer? First of all, you don't have to fumble with all of the switches and the timings or anything like that. It just kind of does it for you based on your hair profile. But best of all, once the sequence has been completed, the AirWrap goes into this holding mode, which is just the best because you can put down the tool, it frees up your hand for a better styling experience. And I think this small change is so good and it makes the whole experience just that little bit better. Currently, it takes me around 30 minutes from wet to dry to curl my hair with the AirWrap, which isn't really that bad. The app does have some tutorials on particular looks. Those tutorials are short and sweet, they're not very in-depth, but they're nice to have. All in all, I like the ID function. I don't think it's gimmicky, which I kind of thought it was gonna be. It doesn't really guide you through the styling like Dyson claims that it does, but the timer is really useful. It was less hassle switching from hot to cold, and you just get a more consistent result because it's just timed, and it's really fun to use. And if you're finding this video fun and interesting, please hit that like and subscribe button. Let me know what you want me to review next in the comments, and let me know about any troubles that you're having with your AirWrap. I would love to hear about that. Which leads me on to my next section of this video, which is troubleshooting the device. There are some must-knows when using any version of the AirWrap, and I feel like everyone should know these things. It's just invaluable to making the styling experience better. Specifically, I want to talk about technique first. The hair is going to have to be 80% dry for curling. If the hair is too wet, essentially the hair is too heavy and it won't wrap around the barrel, and you don't want to be styling soaking wet hair on direct heat anyway. First of all, styling products need to go on towel-dried hair for the products to actually work well, and rapid moisture loss in the hair on hot, consistent temperatures are never going to be great for the overall condition of your hair. But that's for a separate video, and I'm not really going to get into that. You will find what actually works for you as you practice using the AirWrap. But having 80% dry hair can be tricky. I found that ideally you want to get your roots mainly dry and still some dampness on your ends. Things that can also hamper the hair wrapping around the barrel is your section size might be a little bit too thick. Everyone's hair is different, so just play with different section sizes and different dampness to get what's correct for you. Ideally, my section size is 1.5 inches to 1.5 inches, and I found this works best. But sometimes my sections can be a little bit bigger. It just depends on how lazy I am and what look I want. Now, Dyson claim, and it literally says this on the box, style with no heat damage. And heat damage is cumulative. So styling your hair over time is going to incur some damage, but this depends on the hair type that you have and the frequency that you're styling and the temperature. Most research says that temperatures under 150 Celsius is considered safe, and this is the temperature that Dyson says the AirWrap never goes over. So I checked this with a thermal camera, and to my surprise, the highest temperature that I managed to clock was 122 Celsius, which is extremely good for a heat tool. Just to clarify, a GHD straightening iron is around 185 Celsius. And this is why I noticed the quality of hair dramatically gets better when a client switches to Dyson. So if you can really time that ID curl cycle to the perfect amount of time with just the right amount of heat and style your hair at a lower heat and get results, it's going to be better for the overall hair condition in the long run. Although if you don't have enough heat applied to the hair, it might not perform the desired style, and for some hair types, they just need that heat. This is why some people turn to tongs or something hotter, because their hair just needs that heat. I have been a hairdresser and a trichologist for a really long time, and I've styled a ton of hair in my time, and I have to say that there are just some hair, whether it be dense strands or dense hair in itself, and it just needs more heat to achieve the look and make it stay. If your hair is holding style that the AirWrap gives you, my top tip for limiting heat damage is to leave your ends out to the heat very last, because this is the most damaged part of the hair, and I also found that the base of the AirWrap is the hottest on the thermal camera. So if you want to save your ends, that's a really good way to kind of keep the condition of your hair better. One thing I hear from a lot of first-time users of the AirWrap is sometimes wrapping your hair around the barrel initially can be a little bit cack-handed. It does get easier over time. If you're finding this hard, maybe try wrapping the hair around the barrel midway down your hair. And if that fails you, just let your ends catch the end of the barrel, and this tends to work. But ideally, you want to keep your ends away from the heat for as long as you can. The next thing I want to cover is the use of styling products, and if your hair isn't holding the style after you've given it your best and the curl just is dropping out, or maybe you want your hair to look like thicker and bigger, you're gonna have to use some styling products to help aid this. Styling products applied beforehand are always gonna help keep the style intact, and many styling products have heat protecting ingredients, which are a definite must with any heat tool. I totally understand that some of you might not like the feeling of a hold product, but if we are addressing air wrap style longevity, or any styling for that matter, there has to be some hold product. I have a few recommendations listed in this video, but I have a great video on heat protection sprays that are invaluable to any heat styling. I would love to hear about your favorite styling products in the comments. I'm always interested in testing new products, and I love to hear from you guys about that. There are some other things that you can do to throw the kitchen sink at making your style stay. That could include setting the hair in pin curls after styling, kind of holding it in with a clip before and it fully cools. Potentially smaller sections are always going to create tighter curls, and tighter curls will always last longer. But if you prep your hair with the right product, it is going to stay. Take it from someone that's been tasked with making waves stay for a whole day, for brides, for shoots, for anything. Hold product is a must for making your style stay. Overall, the AIRWRAP is a good buy. It's most probably going to improve the condition of your hair. And if you're a serial heat styler, the ID timing cycle is a win for sure. But if you are still struggling with the AIRWRAP, have no fear, because I have made a full demo curling my hair with the AIRWRAP, which you can watch right here. This demo is fully wet to dry and has some handy tips as well. But thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.